Bismillah, thank you and welcome for joining. Today I will be introducing to you the six standard styles of Arabic writing or Arabic calligraphy, and also how to recognize these styles and how to decipher them. How do you know when you walk into a room that's unfamiliar to you, yes, as a guest, I guess? How do you know the calligraphy frame that you see with beautiful Arabic writing in there? How do you know that it's Thulus or Diwali or Riqa or Nastali or Kufic or Eastern Kufic or CD or any other style that we're familiar with? And how do we know that what are the differences and how do you understand them? So this is basically what we're going to be doing today. And again, six standard styles of Arabic calligraphy. My name is Faraz Khan, and let's get to the um, first style. Okay, this is a beautiful Bismillah written in a style that is called Divani or Chancellery script. This is one of my favorite calligraphy of Bismillah, and yeah, I really appreciate that style, and it's very unique. But we'll go deeper into how to identify these styles. Okay, so Arabic calligraphy, different styles, and again, by the time you're done with this video or educational tutorial, you will be able to recognize it just like an expert. And I'll give you a very short version of the story how I came about learning calligraphy as the art, and how to decipher. Well, by the way, on the right is the earliest calligraphy or earliest writing, uh, which are the cuneiforms from Ebla. They were found around Syria today, what we have Syria, some thousands of years ago. But I want to recognize that I actually went into a college project, graduate studies, and thinking about how can I tell, which style or uniqueness about these calligraphy patterns, and that was the basic discovery of the six standard styles and how to decipher them. And so I've included some of the material from my liberal arts studies into this presentation. Okay, Arabic writing evolved from Nabatean and Aramaic script. At the time of the Prophet Muhammad, Arabic writing lacked these dots that we call nuqtas, tashkil, or diacritical marks, vowels basically, and mud, the lengthening of letters. These are not part of the writing. The scribes wrote letters for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, without these additional marks. So let's take a look at the actual letter of the Prophet and what it represented or how it looked like. And as a calligrapher, you actually find this very informational. And this is the Arabic script could be, if it could be divided into two forms. It's early in the history, it was called the Ratab and Jaf, or the wet or dry script. Dry script were basically Kufic script, and this is the earlier version of the Kufic script, you could say. And Kufic is derived from this script. You can see the word Allah, God, written on the right, and you would see it repeated, right? Muhammad Rasulullah, you would see it repeated. Salamun alayk, you would see that word. And then you also see the seal of the Prophet, Muhammad Rasulullah, on top. So Kufic was the dry version, and then the you could call wet script, right, are the Naskh and other stylized scripts that were evolved later on. But I just want to show you this is where it kind of all started. No, and what I want you to see in this is no dots, no no dots, no diacritical marks, and no fatha dhamma kasra that you come to recognize, and no periods, right, or ayat, or signs of the end. No structure in regards to how the word ends. There are certain letters that kind of, like the entire word is like half of it is here and other half is on the other side. And this is known for the Kufic calligraphy. Um, so there's more to it. You could read about this, the translation of it, and how this letter, you know, gives us a window to look into the earlier writings. And it's important to recognize writing. 1400 years of manuscripts. You could actually look at the Princeton University's archives, the manuscripts. You could see some of the earliest Qurans that we have. And the one that is most likely the earliest one in Birmingham Library, I believe, or Birmingham University, or it's in the city of Birmingham in England. And that has the Ma'il script, which is also a derivative of Kufic script. And we'll go into scripts again. So what are some of the scripts? Development of standardized Arabic script. I mean, it took centuries, millennia, before we get to like scripts like Solus and Divani, right, and Toghra. But these are some of the scripts that are well known, and if you are familiar with them, you have a good idea, because you will probably come across or if you are a student of Arabic calligraphy, you probably have come across these scripts already. So Kufic, Sulus. By the way, in Turkish and Urdu, they say it's Sulus, so you may hear a different, derivative. It's the same script. Naskh, which is copying earlier script, and obviously these scripts have subscripts, and they tend to maybe could be regional. So Naskh has hundreds of subscripts. Muhaqqaq, Rehan or Rehani, Nisf, Ta'liq. Ta'liq and Naskh were actually combined to produce what's called Nastaliq. Nastaliq, I'm going to say it again, as a unique calligraphy style as well. Riqa, which is very much common writing, or ruqa, sometimes called, meaning a note. Maghrabi script, Andalusi script. These tend to be versions of Kufic calligraphy, Kufic scripts. Divani, chancellery script. The Ottomans were big on this script, and Toghra. All right, so what we're going to do is, before we go into in-depth, let's look at a few styles. See if you could figure out script and read the ayah in Arabic. And if you know the meaning of that verse or ayah, that's even better, or the script. But this might not be easy first. So let's give it a try. And you could pause it as you go back and take a look at it. Here's the second script. What script do you think this is? Here is the third script. Fourth one. What style would you call this? What do you see there? Fifth. Keep trying, keep looking at it. What are some of the words you see? Can you decipher it? And what is this style? And that's okay if you can't figure it out, even if you don't know. you just saw basically 6 standard styles of Arabic calligraphy. Do not despair. If you couldn't figure out any of them, this is fine. This is regular, usual version. I show this to people and ask, and usually some people would guess, a room full of like 50 people, a couple of people may guess. And what I want you to know at this point, and that you shouldn't quit watching this video, by the end of the video, you will know how to recognize, and obviously you'll be able to recognize all of these calligraphy styles, okay? And I'm not just saying these images that I showed you, any of these styles, 6 styles that we're talking about, you'll be able to pinpoint and say this is this style. So hang on and let's continue more on what styles. Okay. Al-Aqlam as-Sitta, or 6 standard styles, and there's some debate, right, which 6 to include, but I've included these that are commonly found in Arabic calligraphy. Before going in depth, look closely at these 6 writings and how they differ from one another, and you could see this on the left. So each style is written in its particular script. Okay. Look closely at the width of the pen stroke, the curves, lines, connections, slants, and dots of each style. How would you describe each one of them? Can you categorize them? Do you see a pattern? So we're going to go into and take a closer look, but 6 styles again: Kufic, Sulus, Nasr, Nastaliq, Riqa, Divani. We're going to go over it. Just perhaps you want to write these 6 down so you're not thinking about which one I was, because Nastaliq and Nasr, you haven't really heard these terms, and then like, wait, was it Nasr or Nastaliq? So just write it down, and we're going to go into more details. Okay? All right. Kufic, right? You can see it on top. Kufic script. Let's see, and I have a Kufic ID here on the left side, and I got some arrows pointing out, and you're looking at this and you're saying, what is going on in here? At first it seems like a sea, right, with waves and patterns, but what you want to do is just relax. Don't look at the entire thing. Start looking at a line or a sentence or a word familiar to you. Right, the word Allah is familiar to you, and so you will see it, how the pattern, how the words are written, and those letters that you recognize, such as Alif. It's really the key to everything. But Kufic or Kufi script is very futuristic, even though it's one of the earlier ones, earliest scripts. I absolutely adore and love the script. At first, this script might be overwhelming or illegible, to say the least, but let's take a closer look. The blue arrows, or the blue arrow right there on the right, points to Bismillah. Initially, it's a good practice to look at the letter template or mufradat for a quick reference to written forms of a letter. The template's just basically alif, ba, ta, tha, right? Alif letter is the easiest letter to recognize in any script. Let's look at the mufradat or template for Kufic script. Try to find Allah as pointed with the green arrow in other places and on the text. So I've pointed to a few of them. I think there are 3. Yeah, all 3 are there. Okay, so if you find them with the arrows, that's great. And that's, if you see a script from Quran, like a Quranic text, you should be looking for that word just to get started and familiarize. If you don't know much of Arabic, it makes it easier for people. And by the way, I've worked with this same concept with non-Muslims, Muslims, people who know Arabic, people who are from that, region, Middle East, North Africa. I've worked with them, people who have never seen Arabic script, and they also pick up the word Allah and these letters in like a few minutes, so it's not a big deal. You could do it too. The circle over the Ra over here and Ar-Rahman, Rahman right there, should help us to decipher other similar forms. Let's look at the underlined ayat. Compare the first word and the circle letter. Similar. Yes, this is the beginning of surah from the letter Alif Lam Ra. Okay, so you see it here, Alif Lam Ra, Ar-Rahman, right? There's a dot over here, by the way. And then Ar-Rahim, right? So you know this is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And then, what is this? And you could pick up right here the clue, Alif Lam Ra. This is actually Tilka Ayat, right? But you could pick up what you know from and what you don't know by comparing them. Okay, so we're not going to go into too much how to read Arabic calligraphy. We're just going to try to go into how to recognize which style it is. But I wanted to offer that. Okay. Now, so this is Arabic calligraphy, Kufic style. Take a look at the Alif, how it goes back, swoosh, right? Let's go over the ID key, bold script. It's very imposing. That's one of the things that comes to my mind. What comes to your mind? Just kind of have that in your head. Absence of dots or diacritical marks, tashkil generally. Okay, the modern ones do have these dots. This one you could see, you could recognize the 3 dots on the sha. Actually, this is seen. The dot from the noon, here. You could recognize some of these dots, but very faint. It tends to be very bold script. It has wide strokes. You could see it. The square, it's a squarish or rectangular script for most part. The wows and the memes tend to be the circular patterns that are introduced in there. Like, so you see that circular wow and meme, non-cursive, except for Aleph. Aleph tends to be cursive a little bit sometimes as it goes back, but for most part, it's bold script. Look for squares or straight lines. It's also found in geometrical patterns, so you would find that script there. Okay? So here's a taste of earliest Kufic. Let's go on to the second one. Again, Kufic style, and this is floral, right, or foliage that's in there. Probably, worked on the graphic design elements to it, but it starts from here. You see the dot, circular pattern. You see another pattern here, and then patterns on top. Again, the width of the pen is pretty much same, so it's very bold, that's for sure. Okay, wide strokes, square, non-cursive, a circular wow and meme, we talked about that, circular right there, but it's that bold script. What the pen not being utilized as ribbons or waves or thick and thin. You don't see that thick and thin. The use of nib. You see a bold script basically, like a marker that you have written with. All right, I'm going to go into next one, and you'll see the difference when I say thick and thin or bold script. Again, we're looking into Kufic script. Where's the Kufic script in these 2 pages? Can you point it out? On a close examination of the text, you can see the Basmallah or Bismillah, different shape, angularity, wide pen stroke, right, and boldness, and featuring many straight lines. However, did you notice how Aleph here does not curve to its right? It's variation from within Kufic script, but that's fine. We do know the variation exists, but you should be able to see the difference between the script at the bottom and the script in the middle, and the script at the top. Actually, there are three different scripts. Yep, you see this here? That's a different script right there and right there. This is a different script. This is our Kufic script, and then that's another script. And we'll go into all these scripts today. Again, what you're looking for Kufic, bold, stylized, utilize as a script to kind of give you the presence of rectangular, angular script, squares, and straight lines, basically. It doesn't have that thick or thin, and this is where we're going to talk about thick and thin. Okay, so keep that in mind. Look for square or straight lines and geometrical patterns. That's your Kufic. So Kufic's going to become very easy for you very soon. All right, more Kufic. And there are, believe it or not, two styles here at least, I see. All right, so I'm going to try this. So here again, we have Kufic script on the bottom and a cursive Thulus script on top right here. Kufic, again, is easily recognized with wide pen stroke, its boldness, and here is a variation with dense vertical letters on the right and geometrical pattern on the left. It's a little challenging to read these two patterns, but try to find words that you can recognize. Again, I think the easiest letter to identify is Alif, and the easiest word in any style is Allah or Muhammad. Search for Alif and Allah on the left pattern first. Can you see the pattern in all four corners with Alif? What about the middle? What will go with the word Allah? What will go with the word Allah, like in Arabic, right? So you could kind of guess. And you're trying your best, right? You might be tempted to say Muhammad, but the clue here is that the word Allah repeats 4 times, so does the word inside. It's actually the word Huwa in blue rectangle repeated pattern, right? Huwa, Huwa, Huwa. So this is actually saying Hu Allah, which translates to He is Allah. On the lower right side, dense vertical letters in Kufic scripts are read both right side up and upside down. Again, look for Alif in the script or words Allah or Muhammad to identify the verse. Green arrows point to the word Allah and also Muhammad, and this should also be clear in red. Now first word La should be clear. The statement reads La here, Allah in green, and Muhammad in red. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Okay, and then if you look at it, if you convert it upside down, turn it upside down, you'll see the same pattern. Okay? So again, the idea is bold letters, wide strokes, and imposing. That tends to be Kufic calligraphy. Now we talked a little bit about the second style called Sulus. And Sulus is, remember we were talking about thick and thin, how ribbon-like or pattern sea waves. So this is a script where you would see thick lines and then they tend to become thin. Okay, look at the Alif, it becomes thick and thin. Even Ra has like a thin ending to it. So these letters become thick and thin, and again in calligraphy term, these are called the wet letters, or so we talked about Ratab Wajaf letters. And so this is an entire school or array of patterns or calligraphy styles that are under like the Nasks and the Kufic, and actually the Kufic is on one side, Nasks, Sulus, and other styles are on the other side. So sulus, let's go over it. ID key sulus, letter slides at 1/3 angle. For example, mim, ra, nun, dal, qaf. So if you look at it, there's a pattern, there's a degree angle that could be said that it's 30 degrees sliding. And that is the reason why it's called sulus or 1/3 because of the angle the letters slide. That's just one of those theories that people came up just to explain why it's called sulus or thulus. In Arabic, it means 1/3 again. So they said this is the reason why. And by the way, Kufic comes from the city of Kufa. That's a name that was given because it's widely adapted there, and the patterns became clear. So it was called the script of the people of Kufa because it was more stylized and developed there in the city of Kufa. Um, so, and the solus comes from again, and that's just a theory. I would say there's probably many other explanation of what solus means, uh, but I just want to share you with the most notable one. Now here we look at solus style cursive, right? This is a cursive script. It's not as bold, as imposing as the first one. Letters slide at 1/3 angle, for example, mim, ra, nun, dal, and qaf. Letters are linked, that's a big thing, and thinned out at the end in hook shapes. Like if you look at it, they become thin. There's more style to it, right? So you see thin and thick. Extra marks, this is in general, you would find that all this pattern's filled with intricate style, like intricate details, and that's usually an adornment or jelly or jali, right? That's depending on how you pronounce it. It's actually jelly, and that's ornamentation, okay, of the calligraphy. These are added things that are put in there. Some of them actually don't mean anything. For example, there's just a pattern right here. Okay, extra marks are there. Number 4, you could see it. And they are there to cover up white space and to beautify and have a pattern into the calligraphy. And when you come across anything that looks very busy and ornamented like this, you could pretty much say this is sulus, because sulus has a jelly um, element to it, has like a decorative element to it that usually is true. So extra marks are there. Letter alif or lam or dal are barbed on top. I wanted to talk about that. Um, so look at this. Whenever you find this, sometimes they do it in Nusk too, but for most part, this is coming from, if you see it etched like that, that's a good indication that it's sulus. Letters are linked at and thinned out at the end in hook shapes. We talked about that. And alif or lam or dal are barbed at the top. We talked about that. Extra marks, number 4, that are there, and they don't usually mean anything. It's just to indicate certain, to cover up white space. And so 1, 2, 3, 4. So the circle remains a circle. Okay. This letter here is to indicate the letter C. So it's part of it. And this is to indicate Jalla Jalaluhu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the word Ism Azam. And Ha is to indicate there's a Ha in the word Allah. And Ha, this is to indicate there is Rahman ar-Rahim, so it's all already there. Okay, so these are Ha, but they get covered up, and then this is Alif. All right, I hope this is helpful. The big thing is you're looking at these particular styles, and the more you look into it, it will come to you, like slowly but surely, and we're gonna go and practice some of these, okay? Dots are diamond shape. Okay, used in ornamental writing and heading. So this is the place for it is in ornamental writing and headings. Even in the Qurans, this is actually used for heading. This is a style that's used in the mosques, okay, on the walls, in the mihrab, in the niche, in the prayer space. And why? And this is the same style, sulus, just remember this. It's called like basically a royal or king script. Like, it's like the cream of the crop. Like, if you know this script, you know all other scripts. Or if you could write the script, you could write all other scripts. That's how calligraphers refer to it. And the reason for it is because it's really detailed. It takes time to master this script. And once you know the script, all other scripts are much easier. Okay, so the fine details on this script are, much more recognized than in any other scripts. So you would find the script on Kiswa or Ghilaf Kaaba, or the covering of the walls of the Kaaba. That's the script that is there. And because, again, this is one of the most beautiful scripts that you'll see out there, Arabic calligraphy, it represents the Arabic writing on the Kiswa for this reason as well. So again, you find a lot of ornamented jelly, right, script. Chances are this is it. This is sulus. Most popular amongst cursive scripts in wall decorations. That's the script that goes on wall decorations. Again, inside the masjid. You may see some other scripts that are done, but when people do that, it's actually considered, it's just considered not right, not giving each script due honor, sort of say, in calligraphers' eyes. Like, for example, some people may put certain other scripts, not knowing that there's always in Islamic architecture and Islamic art, there's always a recognized priori list, which means basically that there's certain etiquettes to calligraphy, and if you don't represent or you don't show those etiquettes, you don't understand the custom, or you don't understand that tradition of calligraphy. And I'll be very honest, I've seen it over, especially in America. Many mosques, people just are not familiar with their tradition. And so you find all different styles or calligraphy patterns that are ornamenting, the walls with calligraphy that's, brought in from overseas, or donations, or local artists, or custom. Actually, we have very few local artists, but people copy stuff on graphic designs and internet, and then they end up putting together something that they may not be familiar with, that would go with the ethos of the overall scheme of a masjid space, right? So I want to move on. Dots, use ornamental writing and headings. Dots are diamond shapes. Okay, that shape that's there. Kufic usually has circular ones. It may have diamond shapes as well sometimes. Sometimes Kufic doesn't have any dots, right? But Thulus has, almost always I've seen this with diamond shaped dots. Most popular amongst cursive scripts and wall decorations. Letters are connected for the most part, flowing and imposed on each other. Sometimes they go on top of each other, and so on and so forth, and that doesn't take anything away from the calligraphy. All right, so we'll go on to the next one. These first few are much more detailed because there are a little bit more than the other ones. So we get into a little, more simpler stuff, hopefully. All right, so Thulus, we're gonna continue here. Before we get to simpler stuff, So I just want you to practice. Here, let's practice with the ID key, and I do not want you to be overwhelmed with the pointers here. However, even one or two could differentiate solos, the points here, right there. Little secret, I simply look at the aleph in each script and identify the writing. So if you could see the aleph, you're able to identify the script. Or lam or barbed stuff on top, as you have seen. In solos, look at the cursive nature of the script, overlapping letters, plus all ornamental marks, and memorize the way Allah is written in this script. That's a pretty big one too. So if you can't just recognize it from Aleph, the word Allah, that also gives it away. Yeah, the way that word Allah is written, if you could recognize the word Allah in each script, you would know those scripts. Okay, so that's really a good way to look at it. So again, the barbed Aleph on top, you could see that. And the word Allah, the lam also has a little bit of nook. It's not clear in this, this is too small, but you'll see it over and over. And the letters tend to slide 1/3. Remember how we said it slides 1/3? Okay? So it's almost like they're on an angle. Not all of them. Like Alif is not sliding. But I definitely see that, you know how we in English we talk about italicized? That's the same feature. It's not straight up. It's a little bit slanted. Okay, so this is Solus. Take a look. And one more time. What script is this? What are you looking for? First of all, letter, slides, okay? Maybe this doesn't give it away, so it's a small word or pattern. Letters are linked and thinned out at the end in hook shapes. Yeah, I kind of see them getting thinned here. Yes. Barbed aleph or letter lam, right? So this is, look, so there's something here. Yes, you're right. Something on top. Why is that dash there? Extra marks, jelly besides tashkil. Are there extra marks in there? I call this birdie, and I call this like a hook, right? Are these extra marks in there? Yes, I do see a pattern. So this looks like a jelly letter. Ornamental stuff is in there, thrown in there without any meaning, some of them. So used in ornamental writing and headings, dots are diamond shapes. Are there any dots on this? Actually, it says Muhammad Rasulullah, so there are no dots here in the writing itself, and most popular amongst cursive scripts in wall decorations. Um, that's for sure. And then we're looking at solos. Okay, obviously this is much different than, much more different than uh, um, the other script, such as Kufic. All right, so we're gonna go into this one. Here on the first two pages of the Quran, we have three different styles of khat or script. Can you guess what these three are? Top and bottom of the page is written in solus, yes. You see those jelly, right? Solus jelly, or these extra marks that makes it very ornamented. Uh, a lot of patterns. The basmala is written Kufic, and main body is written in Nas, the most widely read script today. So three scripts. On top, green right there, green solos, green right there. Kufic is Bismillah here, bold, same pen nib, you could say, there's no cursive here, and Naskh, which is the white here, the circle. And we said something very remarkable. The Naskh, the most widely read script today. So let's talk about Naskh. All right, so now we're getting into nitty-gritty. And guess what? If you know those three scripts, those are the three scripts you're going to come across the most. The first one was Kufic, the second one was Sudus, and this is the third one. So if you are reading Quran every day, This is a script more than likely you're going to see. Okay. Um, there are two, you know, two different types of nasq that are there. I would say that are the Quran's written in, and I'll clarify that about Quranic reading uh, in a few minutes. But I wanted to show you this one. Here is nasq again with finer details. It's not cursive like sulus, and it's not linear or square like Kufic. The biggest thing for nasq is basically, and what does nasq means? Nasq means to copy. Nasq is to copy, and that is the history of this script is as people needed to transfer knowledge, there was paper within 100 years, right, from China. And and I'm talking about the Islamic history, right? So paper was brought, paper was produced, and the style of writing that was needed, because you have libraries and books and registers, um, and information about uh, businesses, information about farming practices, ledgers, and details that needed to be recorded and copied. This was a script that was used, earlier version of it. Obviously, this is more of a refined version, what we find today. So this version was used for legible, clear writing, so people don't make mistakes, specifically reading Quran. Um, it's easier on the eyes. People can uh, don't make mistakes reading this text, and it's legible. It's widely used, small print, because you want to be able to write as many words as possible on paper. Paper was expensive. Paper was a luxury, to be honest. Having a book was a big deal. It was basically a sign that you were a rich person if you had a book in your house. Most people in the Islamic history did not memorize or did not have copies of Quran. It's only today, in the last, I would say, 100 years, where people have multiple copies of the Quran sitting at home. Because if you had a copy of the Quran a couple hundred years ago, I would say most likely somebody had written it. And that in itself was a really, um, I would say it was an enormous task to write the entire Quran, because you have to be careful with the Quran. It's not like writing anything. So there were scribes or people who did Nasq style script and small prints. Just, did the writing in small letters, and it was easy to read and it was easy to write. If you look at it, Kufic takes a lot of um, it's very bold script. It takes a lot to write that script, and it takes a lot of surface in terms of like pages and surface of writing. Solus is very demanding in terms of how refined it is, and so it takes a lot of time writing the same ayah or verse. Um, but when you look at Nusk is easier to read, easier on eyes, takes less surface space, right? And you could fit in more on a page, and it's less likely for you to make a mistake. Okay, words are well spaced. That's the other thing. You could see these words and don't make mistake. Less chance of making a mistake. And okay, all right, moving on to the next one. So Nas is the simpler version. You could look at it as Solus and Nas. The difference is um, Nas is a much simpler writing style. Okay, all right. So Nas is clear, legible, widely used, small prints, mostly written in books, not on the walls. Okay, and I've seen that people make mistake of. Uh, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but it's just when you see something like that, according to our tradition, it's not the right thing to do. Um, just like you wouldn't put your left shoe first, right? You would always put your right shoe first and your right foot. Um, that's a tradition. It's easy to read and write. Words are well spaced, so that shows adab. That shows how refined you are in terms of your understanding of your tradition. So there are two scripts actually here. All right, and I will let you guess. Top calligraphy, you should be able to see the difference between the two, and the bottom calligraphy. This on top is actually, look at the alif, look at the letters. Are they sliding? Are they doing anything? Are they barbed on top? So this is, and you see a hamza right there, right? This actually is naskh, and this at the bottom with a lot of extra marks. You could see this, right? We talked about sulus jali and the barbed alif or lams right there. This is sulus at the bottom. All right, naskh and sulus. Now you should be able to see patterns, and we're going to start going into details of other calligraphy styles. Okay, we're looking at another beautiful image with two different styles of calligraphy. So I want you to look at it very closely and try to see any patterns that you have recognized from before. And naskh, we talked about, there's an extra H in here, but ID key. Naskh is clear, legible, widely used, small prints, easy to read and write, words are well spaced. Okay, that's the other one I wanted to talk about. But you see, there's another writing that you see very different from this one. But it's actually not sulus, definitely not kufic. It's not naskh. Naskh is right here. It's a style called Diwani or chancellery script, and we'll go over it. We'll go over it in a second. All right. So again, you'll come across the script, you'll start recognizing it more and more. Now here's the one, two, three, four, fourth, fifth script. Nastaliq or Taliq script, as you see it. Try to see how each letter is written. It is somewhat a bold script. Tashkil is emphasized. That's the big thing. Tashkil, when I say that, the fatha dhamma kasra and the dots are emphasized. Diamond-shaped dots. Medial words have thickest pen stroke. So medial, the middle letters. Okay? And then the end, or the aleph, is very thin and very short. Letter aleph, top is sharp. Bottom is smooth out. Two dots, for example, in ya or ta are diamond-shaped dots, slightly touching. This doesn't show that, but they're always slightly touching. The ra or re is the smallest letter. You see it here. Okay. This is like a zal, but when it's connected, it's written just like a za. So it's a zal. Hada min fadli rabbi. This is from the bounty of my Lord. The translation, Nastaliq, a lighter version of Taliq, is also known as Persian or Farsi script because of its origin in Persia. So Nastaliq or Farsi script, sometimes called. It is more famous in non-Arab Muslim countries such as Iran, Turkey, Pakistan, and India, Bangladesh, and even like Kuwait and some other parts of Iraq. It is clearly distinct from all of the previous scripts. It's very different as you've seen it. Look at the mufradat or the letters that you find the templates for Nastaliq script in order to gain more insight into the script. So the more you learn about individual letters, the more you'll find how when you see a connected pattern of Arabic writing for Nastaliq, you will be able to recognize it easier. But again, if we focus on the word Allah, alif or Allah in each script, alif is like the very short alif, simpler alif. Okay, and I will show you another version. Again, bold. Right, you kind of see that it's a little bit bold. It's the dots are emphasized. The fatha damma kasra or zabar zir bish are also emphasized. This is a script for people again for reading Quran, just like Naskh. And it's what it does is Taliq script. What it does is it makes the person not make any mistakes on reading of their Quran. So that's the big item. Not making any mistakes and making it simple. So again, simple script, just like uh, Naskh. When you see the Quranic version of it in Nasali, it's to make it very simple for people to be able to read. Now the letter Alif right there, small, and then Allah. That's how it's written. And seeing this, you could just simply say, oh, this is Nastali. Okay, anything else that you see that's very different? So again, Naskh and Nastaliq, you know, a derivative um, of the earlier combination of the earlier scripts that we have seen. Here's another version of the writing. Again, how the memes are written, how the middle part is always like bold, it stands out, diamond-shaped dots. The fatha damma kasra tashkil is emphasized, and okay. So this is also the script that is used for Urdu, Farsi, Persian, and Turkish, the Osmani Turkish of that era. Uh, Turkish now, modern Turkish is obviously written with the Latin letters, but prior to that, if you are at Topkapi or Istanbul and you find, or throughout the Turkish wonderful tradition you see of the Ottomans, you will find this script everywhere, along with the other script that we're going to go over. Okay. Now, second last script I would say before, and this is usually, so we said, all four of them have a place. Kufic goes generally, you could use it for very bold, uh, some wall decorations, but generally, earlier versions of the Qurans were written Kufic. You don't find most people reading Kufic Qurans unless it's like Western Kufic, which is like Andalusi script, Fazi scripts, and other stuff. But for most people in America, I would say, or even throughout the world, they find Kufic Qurans are like the earlier Qurans that we have. Most of modern Qurans that are written, 21st century Qurans, they are in Naskh or Nastaliq script. If somebody has a tradition from India, Pakistan, Iran, you'll find Nastaliq print. Uh, most Qurans written in or printed in Saudi for the Arab world are in very written by Taha Hussein in Naskh script. And Sulus again is ornamental script, and you'll find most of the Quranic calligraphy written in the mosques or ornamented wall patterns or wall decorations or frames that you would find. It's mostly Sulus, right? Script. That's what you're going to find on the walls. Most of them are Sulus or Kufic, right? Those are the two big ones. This is Riqa. Riqa is another script, It's simple, very simple. I mean, if Nasq was simple, Riqa is actually one level below, I would say, in simplicity. So slightly cursive. The biggest thing that I want you to know, Riqa is for Ruqa. That's how I understand it. Riqa is like basically note writing. This is what you would find in the Arab world, how they take notes, um, specifically Syria and the surrounding areas. So they would write notes using this calligraphy style. And what it does is it's legible, it's fast, and it's very simple. Okay. Multiple dots are combined into dashes. And I will show you here, right there. Yes, it's just it's Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. That's a ya, two dots are just combined. Rahim, two dots are like a dash. Rarely uses tashkil or fatha damma kasra. Rarely, it's only for Quran. Obviously, they would use that, but in general writing, they won't have this fatha damma kasra. Alif is not barbed and can be placed up or down. Sometimes Alif you'll find in like Ar-Rahman here is right there. Alif, Bismillah, Allah. Alif is right up top. Alif is at the bottom. Alif is at the top. You see that? So the placement of Alif could be here because you want to conserve the space. Letter Noon is different. All right, how is it different? It has a dot connected to it, or sometimes it doesn't even show the dot. Okay, you would see that. The two dots here, I mean, these are the two dots that you read. Rarely used for Quran writing. It's not the script for Quranic writing because it could be very confusing for people. So it's generally used again for everyday common writing. Tashkil is rare. Sukoon, Jazm is always missing. There's no sakina on top of things. Pen width does not change much. You write it in cursive script. You know, it's like the letters are sliding a little bit all the time. And you see that as a pattern. Okay? Here, the Noon, right there, Ar-Rahman, the dot's missing, and it's indicated by that lip, by that, you know, that signature right there. Okay. Now, rarely you're going to come across riqa as a, you know, a wall decoration or a frame. Again, this is just to recognize everyday common writing. So again, riqa, very, very fast writing, simple writing, and short writing, I would say. It's almost like a shorthand, how it's written. Take a look at this Arabic, two dots, qaf, the two dots are missing because it's indicated here, and sheen, right, the sinna, or the loops are, the first two loops are missing. They're not missing, it's just that's the way it's written, right? So each script has its own specific way of writing. So here I want to introduce the letters again and look at the alif. Alif is very sharp letter. And if you know the alif in any script, you could tell what script it is. Alif is short, alif is written. You know, generally speaking, you would start to recognize how each alif is written. They're written like this, but it kind of gets smooth, a little bit smooth at the bottom for sulus. Sulus, the alif are actually longer, much longer. The the alif is actually finer, thinner. Okay, it's not as sharp like that. And at the bottom, it's definitely a little bit rounder. Okay, and not as sharp as top and bottom. And the alif in Kufic is generally not written this way. It's actually, it goes down as bold and goes backwards a little bit. So you'll get to appreciate and recognize these letters. We're almost towards the end, and then you could go through the, second last script, and then you could go through how to recognize it. After this, definitely you will be able to know um, any script, and I would say 99% of the time, these are the six scripts I've seen. Um, Whenever I walk into a mosque, open a book, or any other place, this is it basically. It's a derivative or a subscript of these six scripts. The word Allah, the pattern, if you recognize how the ha is written, again, short and simple, right? That's really what you're going for. So if you recognize that, if you see that the word Allah is written like that, you would know that this is a script called Riqa. All right. So again, this is amazing stuff that I came across, and I am still learning. So if you see any mistakes, do let me know. But I want to introduce these scripts to you. Now, again, there's another bigger, bolder script, or just a better image of earlier versions we talked about. I will mention those little things that we talked about. Again, what is riqa? Take a look. The dots, they almost mesh in. Two dots come together as a dash. The pattern of Allah, right? Sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes circular. The noon, right? How the dot gets combined, and just how it's written. The ha, very quick. The ra, look at the ra. Look at the alif, sharp, right? It could be smaller on top, and it could be longer, smaller on top, trying to fit in smaller on top. It's not an entire, alif that extends further down. So the idea is to be able to fit in as quickly as possible. So again, riqa, very fast, rarely used for writing Quran. You usually don't see this, but used for general writing. Okay, so you recognize this. Now we're going to go to the last script. And that is the Turkish Ottoman Divani script that was really highly stylized. Most cursive script of all 5 or 6 of these scripts we talked about. Divan is the parliament, or it's also called chancellery script, Divani, right from there. Not Divana. Divana in Farsi or Urdu is somebody who's crazy. Divani is somebody who's a parliamentarian, I guess you could say, or somebody who has, high esteem or upper class, I would say. So most cursive script of 6 scripts, ends are circular. And by the way, why was this introduced? One of the reasons for it was when they would write certificates or signatures, they would actually utilize this script to make it stand out, like the cursive nature of this writing is very appealing. So most cursive, recognize if you see something like this, it's most cursive, you know that it's Divani. Ends are circular. They tend to go in a circular pattern. Look at the green, right? So circular, oval, circles. Without tashkil generally, but the Quran, people would write Fatha and Kasra just to make it easy for people to read. Beginnings and endings of the word are thinned out. You could see that. Something similar to sulus, but a little bit more. So look at this. Look at the ha. Interconnected and overlapping, that's definitely a feature. Sulus, you see that, but it doesn't go into that much details. Sometimes it gets very confusing. But the word Allah, remember that? I talked about that. This is the word Allah here. Alif starting here, and then it goes all around it. And then comes back. And it's written usually without lifting the pen. So the entire word is written inna. This is actually said inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. The word inna right there starts here, goes back, goes around, That's Aleph, and then the Noon is right here. Okay. Uh, used for headings and decorations, highly stylistic and abstract, right? It sometimes becomes abstract where you're almost not able to read, illegible, and difficult to read. Uh, and Aleph, the word Allah is written in highly cursive and connected script, as you can see. So Aleph has those long hooks. Right? You haven't seen those before. Something like that. The dots tend to be circular. So if you see circular dots, it's a good giveaway that it's Divani. But the biggest thing is the cursive nature of it, the patterns, is almost like a ribbon-like style. So if you see that, you know Divani's on the way, right? All right. Now I'm going to go into this one. Style this, okay. Most cursive again. Well, this is Wakafa bi Rabbika Wakila, and the name of the calligrapher and the year this person wrote it. And you see this again, circular dots, Divani. The ending of a word or letter, how thin it gets, how cursive it is, Divani. Okay, the wows, look at the wows, how elongated they are, the ra, Divani. Highly stylistic and abstract, right? It tends to become abstract for people to be able to read. I will show you another one now. When I was saying abstract, this is what happens. So again, what style? You should not have any difficulty. Why? Because, whoa, circular dots, okay. The word Allah, look at this alif. Look at this alif right here. How it almost looks like a flag, right? Or like a banner. So once you recognize that, this is the word Allah, written single um, stroke, right? Single stroke meaning without lifting a pen. You could write the word Allah. So when you see that, you see the alif and the noon here in the. Look at that, how it gets thinned out. Once you see that, you know Divani scripts is on the way. All right. So I believe we got all 6 of them. And if you're not ready or not, here are again Aklam Sitta, 6 standard styles. Kufik, Sulus, Nasq, Nastaliq, Riqa, Diwani. And I will show you a few more examples. Let's test your knowledge, what you actually have learned. If you have watched all of the previous calligraphy stuff that I've talked about here on these 6 scripts, you should be able to recognize all these patterns, okay? So we're going to go into test mode. I'll give you a few seconds, and you could hold it. You could pause the video if you need to look at it more closely. And I want you to write down the script. So the script that I'm going to show you next, the few slides, they're going to be either Kufik, Solus, Nasq, Nastaliq, Riqat, Divani. So write down these 6 and then write down which script is what. Right? Number 1. Oh, there's more to it. So that's a good giveaway in terms of, again, um, comparing all of these scripts. So Nasq is written like this. Bismillah and Sulus, barbed alif. Alifs are longer. Nasq simpler. Alif, right? This is written without fatha dhamma, right? Muhaqqaq, which is a derivative, it's actually earlier script, or called a sister script of Sulus. Muhaqqaq didn't really, it used to be a very famous script, but I think Sulus took over because Sulus was a little bit refined version of Muhaqqaq. That's just my own understanding. And so this got adopted, and since they were so similar, people just like worked with this and not this. And I'm sure there's like political empire, reason for all these other things, what gets adopted or not. It's generally the case. Nastaliq, right? We talked about this one. How the Farsi, Rasmul Khat, we also talked about. And Riqa, very fine. Look at the Alif and Allah, how simply it's written. Okay, so you're hopefully ready for the test. So, what is this script next? All right. What is this script? Name these two scripts. There's one on top, different, and the one on the bottom, different. Name these two scripts. Actually, no, one script. Okay? Name this script. Name this script. This one. Take a closer look here. All right. This is just one style, by the way. Name the script. You may be familiar with this. Next time, when you are at a party, you could introduce the script on this stamp. Talk a little bit more about it. Name the script. Name this script. Name this script. There's a different script. It's all one script. All right. What script is this? Oh, what about this? What is this script on the top of the Mini Cooper? All right, so that one was the last one, and I'll share that with you. There are some additional scripts. This is called the Rehan script, uh, closely related to Muhaqqaq and Rehani. Rehani script is basically a miniature version of the big Muhaqqaq script. Uh, this is Muhaqqaq, beautiful, just very beautiful. Very similar to Sulus, and then Maghrabi style, which is a derivative of Kufic script, by the way. So, Maghrabi Faisi script. All right, so I wanted to go back to the styles, and then we'll go over our test results. So these are the 6. Let's go over it quickly. So the first one should be very easy. This is Sulus. The giveaway is barbed wires, jelly. There's too many patterns in there, right? Ornamented. And Allah, the way it's written, alifs are really long. Okay, so that's what I look for. This one is Nastaliq or Farsi Rasmul Khat. It's bold slightly. You could see it. The way it's written looks like Urdu or Farsi if you're familiar with it. Look at how alif is written, right? Small, fine alif. 2 dots, 3 dots, they're all written together. So it has alif or lams very thin right there. And then the middle part is usually tends to be very thick. All right. This one, two scripts. The first one, simple one, is naskh, right? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And then barbed alifs and lams on top, right? There's dashes on top of it. Gives it away. The endings are very thin, tails, right? And look at the alif, how long they are. These are indication for sulus. This right there. Now this, you may find this very challenging, but if you spend some time, again, look at alif, look at lams, right? Look at the word Allah if you find it. This is a hadith of the Prophet. Rahimullahu rajulan samhan idha ba'in ushtara wa idha iqtada. May God have mercy on a gentle, lenient person when buys or sells or when he judges. You know, may Allah show mercy to the one who is gentle dealing with people, basically. So you look at the dots, all three dots in sha, or two dots in ta, are dashed, right? They're just quickly written, basically. Remember the alif, how sharp it is? The word Allah, how it's written? That kind of gives it away. Then this is none other than which script? Riqa, the note-taking, common writing. Right? It looks very similar to naskh, but the difference between this one and naskh is that naskh wouldn't have those patterns. Okay, naskh is clearly written, and riqa is more hurried version of a naskh. This is Kufic, obviously. You could see those dots, and you actually see the back of the page of certain these letters in the back. Okay, they're not like smidge or written. Also, it's just very bold. Look at the alif, the word Allah we talk about, right? Vowels, has, been, circular, and everything else is bold and linear, right? That's how we see it. So alif, like, almost looks like a backward lam, and that alif gives away that this is Kufic script. And the dots tend to be circular. Another version, this is Western Kufic, I would assume. And you could see how alif is written, and that the word Allah is right there, alif right here, Allah right here. That gives it away, the Kufic style. It's a different version of Kufic, but still. Then again, this one, you have to look at alifs, right? You see this alif and the word Allah. You have seen this before. Look at the two dots combined. Two dots combined. These dots are not combined. Look at how noon and dot is combined. So this is riqa. Okay? Again, written fast, and just to make sure the alif goes on top, the alif goes on the bottom, the alif goes on top, the alif is written fully, the noon goes on top sometimes, and you know how cursive it is. So you know if it's written for you to be able to read, that's riqa, or note writing, right? Now this one simply is written very legible, easier for you to read. Alifs have hamzas on top, hamzatul wasl, hamzatul qat'a, right? You'll see those, and you are able to recognize this as naskh. Naskh is simple alif, simple writing. Just make it legible, make it easier on your eyes to be able to read. This right here, for all you party goers, is sulus, because you see all these patterns in there, and you see the barbed kaf, and you see extra additional letters, jelly part, ornamented. So sulus jelly. Right here is one of your favorite script. First thing you see is kind of abstract, stylized, and very circular. And it's none other, most cursive script in all of this is Divani. Okay? And you can see the word Allah here. Look at the alif. Look how it's connected. Everything's connected, right? So this is alif again here. And walibun على أمره. Yeah, it's alif in amr, and the rest. Look at the noon, how cursive it is, and the sh, nas, akthar nasi, 3 dots. Again, circular dots sometimes, but this one has rectangular dots. So Divani was the earlier one. This one, look at the alifs before you throw out any calligraphy without paying attention to the patterns. Look how long the alifs are, right? Or the lams. So this is sulus. Majestic, jelly, right? There's a lot of ornamentation. There's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of, calligraphy patterns that you would recognize. I mean, there's obviously graphic design nature to it, base to it. Somebody was working on it, but the original was written in black ink, and then somebody converted it to a graphic image with colors and all that stuff. So again, this is sulus, the way we see alif, long. This again, look at the alif, the dots, the pattern, right? The dots, 2 dots combined together, written fast, tends to get a little confusing if you're not, a person who's, of the background in writing Arabic. Then if you can't read or write Arabic, if you don't know how, if you don't understand and you read Arabic, then you see a lot of clustered writing. And that tends to be fast, easy, convenient for people to write. And that's taking notes. And most of the time that is riqa. Okay? لا تدخل الجنة حتى تؤمنوا. You will not enter paradise until you believe, and you will not believe ولا تؤمنوا حتى تحابوا. Look at the 2 dots. And you will not believe until you love. ألا أدلكم على شيء إذا فعلتموه تحاببتم. Shall I show you that thing which, if you do, all of you do together, then there will be an increase of love between you. And that is أفشوا السلام بينكم. Give greetings of peace amongst yourself, meaning say salam to each other. And that will increase your love for one another. That's the statement of the Prophet Muhammad. And we see the beauty of this calligraphy and the beauty of his words. All right, so that was riqa, and this is, it's got to be easy. It's not sulus. It's not nas. It's not divani. It's not nastali. So what is this? The word Allah is written here on top, by the way. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. This is the word La. This is Kufic, obviously. Now, what about this one? Again, what letters do you see? And if you recognize those letters, I said particularly Alif and the word Allah, right? This is not Allah. It actually says Al-Hajj. But the word Alif right here, very different. And that is the most cursive alif I've ever seen, right? So that is Divani. Cursive is Divani. Did I say cursive is Divani? And so is this last slide, okay? This right there is alif right there. And this is lam. And there's a heart shape. There's a story to this, and I'll share that. And with this, I hope you had a good time learning about calligraphy styles, and try practicing what you just learned. Go take a look at Arabic calligraphy online. The ones that you have on your, if you have any wall decorations, open up the Qur'ans, you see with different calligraphy styles. Take a look at, just type in different styles of calligraphy, Arabic calligraphy, and see if you could tell which style it is just after being done with this exercise. To recognizing the patterns. And then if you recognize this, if you practice it, then a few times you will remember this, and you'll be able to next time tell people what exactly they're looking at. Okay, and I think that's really powerful, not for bragging rights, but at least
learning something and knowing the tradition and furthering it, because you can't really further improve or beautify things if you don't really know what the origin and where it came from, right? Because the principles of beauty lie within that script, and you have to understand the script before you could further it. You could, you know, take it to another level. So just like the wall calligraphy, I explained how Solus and Hufik has been the tradition in the past, and having that understanding of why we write the most ornamented Quran on the walls, and the reason for it is you take Solus script because it's the most ornamented script in the world and recognized as such, and the most beautiful, right, majestic script. So you're going to write Quran with not a simple script, but the most ornamented, the most gifted, elegant script. And the Word of God is going to be, the Word of God should be represented, should be shown in that script. And when it comes to the purpose of making it easier for people to be able to read the Quran, the Word of God, there's a purpose there. Then you take naskh or nastali, and that's the tradition. That's the understanding of why certain scripts are used for certain purposes, right? And so if you understand those things, you could further the tradition by having a sound understanding of the historic nature of these scripts and the place for them. So with the last one, this is Mini Cooper, right? And the story goes that it was going to be introduced as one of the cars in the Middle Eastern market, and so they didn't know how to do it except do it with some calligraphy and a very wise statement. And if you could see it, there's actually a little heart right there on top of the car, and it says Al-Hub min awwali nazara. That means love at first sight. And this car just basically, was the appeal for them, and that script sent the right message. Buy me. So don't worry about buying cars and being a consumer. Be a creative first, and I think that's really the beauty of it. Consumers, they're always out there. So be creative, produce something beautiful, and I thank you for learning, and I hope you could continue learning more about the scripts and sharing it as well. Thank you.